in the regular season, even though some people forget that and put Michigan at 4th. But then we lost in the tournament to Michigan in the first round. So the Big Ten was pretty bad last year, though.
I'm deciding between 3rd and 4th. I'll go 3rd. I think we get 3rd.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm not exactly sure how good the Big Ten is, but they should be better. Last year was a pretty down year. I'm going to say 4th. I think Michigan State's supposed to be really good. Yeah, I honestly don't know. That was probably a bad question. So, here's one that we know about. Best player on Nebraska this season.
Isaiah Roby.
You're going with Isaiah Roby. Why?
Because it has to be. We need him to be the best player on the team. Okay, well, not... I guess best player doesn't necessarily mean, the most scoring, but I think, if he can just fill out the stat sheet, just, close to double-double every game, and some assists, I think that's, qualifies and makes him the best player on the team.
I'm going to have to say I disagree, and I'm going to go with James Palmer. I just think, I don't know, I hope that Roby can be the best player on the team.
Well, Palmer's definitely going to score the most.
Yeah, well, I still think...
Just, you have to think about Roby's defense, too.
Yeah, I do. And, maybe if you're saying that we don't have any bigs, it'll be really valuable.
Yeah. So,
if I had to say the player that would be the worst to get injured, I'd probably say Roby. But who's, doing the best, I'd probably go with Palmer. Just because I think Roby, even the guys with that much potential, they often just don't see it come out in college, or at least not this year. I don't think it's going to totally happen. I think it's going to start to happen. And, just because he's by far the best guy on our team on draft boards, I just don't know if that will translate right away this year into immediate on-court production. And I kind of hope it does, but, I think Palmer was a really good player last year, and he could be even better this year. Who are you going to go with for most improved player this year? I might have just changed mine.
Thomas Allen.
Yeah, there aren't too many guys.
I feel like he's the only one that got some minutes, but was being taken out, I guess, for poor performance last year. Even though we kind of wanted to try and play him, but I think he'll get minutes this year because he's playing well and I don't know, hopefully making threes like he was recruited to do.
Yeah, I think I could go with him, but I was thinking about this. I think I might go with Copeland. He
improved.
He was pretty good last year, but I think this year, having a year of not being injured is actually just a huge thing of importance. He last year didn't get a practice that much, definitely didn't get a practice in the off season because he had been getting off of back surgery. Even if it was the year before, he just couldn't practice that much, couldn't improve his game that much in the off season. And I think he could be a really huge player and have all parts of his game improved.
I feel like if you're choosing him to be most improved, then he would have to be the best player. In a sense, because Palmer was most of the time the best player each game, but oftentimes Copeland was the more dominant offensive threat.
I wouldn't say so.
Some games,
but I don't. That's like saying Klay Thompson is some games the most dominant threat. Obviously, some games you're going to be not that. But, yeah, I think he could... I would just say he's going to maybe surprise people and that he actually could really improve this year. And you might not think about it.
Out of him from each game would be a really big improvement. So.
And, you kind of even see from Embiid, somebody like Joel Embiid, he was injured in the offseason all the time, and now he's putting up crazy 30-point per game numbers. Another Sixers guy. So, biggest question about the season.
Will we win a tournament game? I think that's the question that everybody has.
That's a pretty good one. Maybe one that wouldn't be one that we want to be thinking about is how much does Moose like Miles if it doesn't go well.
That's true.
That could end up being... well, here's one that you're going to hear about a lot. Can we end up doing well without a big man? I think that could be just a huge storyline throughout the season, and especially if we get injuries. And that kind of brings us into another topic of Dedoch Chan. I am saying that correctly. If you listen to the last pod, he corrected me when I said his name. And he has decided to transfer from the program before he ever played a game. I suppose he did not even play in the secret scrimmage. He only played in the open practice. So he never played a game against anybody else besides Nebraska, but he decided to transfer. What do you think about that?
I mean, I'm not really, concerned that much on, how it affected the team, I guess. Well, I mean, for being a body, yes. But it's kind of similar to, a doobie or just having another guy. But I think if Tanner can play well, and if Brady's playing well, then I think we're okay.
Yeah, that may have been... Now that we're seeing... Maybe we're seeing that, I think Brady
that
forced him out.
That could be, a reason why he left. Yeah, Brady was... They were showing... the coaches were showing signs of giving Brady minutes. And
Brady's not even necessarily about to get minutes.
Yeah.
So if he's the second one in line... Well, I mean, I think overall, kind of the storyline here was just not necessarily the player that we thought. Even in height, he just was not... even when I talked about him, I kind of said he's not a center. He just wasn't. He was 6'7", and so it probably just wasn't going to work out. And maybe the coaching staff thought that over 3 years he could develop, and then he thought maybe he could come in and play. And I don't think it's a huge problem that obviously we don't have a lot of depth this year, but I don't know what we were getting instead. So now I think we have basically Roby as our kind of starting center, even though it's not really totally a center. And then we have Tanner, and hopefully Hyman can play well. So let's finish it out by talking about something that will actually matter tomorrow night, and that is starting lineups and kind of what the rotation will look like. So right now the starting lineup is James Palmer, Glenn Watson, Thomas Allen, Isaac Copeland, and Isaiah Roby. Do you kind of like that starting lineup? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I think it's what we expected. I don't really think anybody thought it was going to be any different than that.
Yeah, so... Yeah, I can't really imagine anybody else taking that starting lineup, unless Amir plays super well, or, I don't really see Brady or Nana or Tanner. Those are all the guys who got minutes in the secret scrimmage, where we played more of a normal lineup than the exhibition game. So we kind of saw in the secret scrimmage, let's see, so Palmer got 29 minutes, Glenn had 34, Allen had 32, Copeland had 33, Roby was down to 23. Do you like those guys playing 32, 34 minutes?
Yeah, I guess I don't necessarily want to have to play on them much, just injury-wise. You risk that, or getting too tired, especially when we get into the middle of conference play. You can hopefully rely on some other guys to take some of those minutes so they don't have to play a bunch. But I want to see I guess, do you think we'll play an 8-man rotation or 9?
I mean, I think it depends on Brady, but I think it'll kind of be dictated by foul trouble.
Yeah.
And if Roby and Copeland can kind of stay out of foul trouble, then we kind of have the guys other places. But yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see. Also, so who would you be taking out? Would you be taking out Brady or Nana?
If we went down to 8?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it depends on foul trouble, if it's guards getting in foul trouble or bigs per game. So,
I mean, you could see similar thing to like how Doobie and who was it? Doobie and Tanner played last year. Maybe one of them plays one game. I mean, do you think that Tanner would necessarily play more than Brady, or vice versa?
I would definitely in the beginning of the season. I would think Tanner would be coming off the bench before Brady does, just because he's like, you know what you're getting with putting him in there. Just solid defense and not messing up the offense, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think somebody made a point that Miles really likes to play people. Just, he doesn't like to play his new players kind of early. He lets them build in. I think even like we saw that with Jordy instead of, let's see, I guess that was kind of Roby versus Jordy. But Roby was starting. Who was it that would have ended up? I can't remember. But it just kind of stays with the thing. The problem with that is then you're playing all the bad non-conference teams where you can get somebody like Brady experience, and then hopefully we'll see him kind of develop. But we have to beat those teams bad enough to.
Well, I wonder if you could do like if you're up by a lot at halftime, then you start somebody else, or like take them off the bench first instead of second.
Yeah, hopefully that can happen
that kind
more
of
often this season. So, what do you think about the dynamics of Palmer, Watson, Allen, Copeland, Roby starting lineup? What do you see on offense?
I see potential to really spread the floor with like 3-point shooting if everybody
can shoot.
If they can shoot, yeah. So I guess if they shoot like they did in the exhibition, well, we're screwed basically everywhere. But I mean, all those guys have the potential. I mean, obviously Thomas Allen can shoot, and then Palmer and Copeland are streakier shooters, but I think if they get hot, I feel like they can kind of feed off each other, especially at home. We always shoot better at home.
Yeah, that's a huge storyline throughout the season. Like, what I kind of noticed is, I mean, the 2 years that we almost made the tournament, we went 17-0 at home, or 17-1 at home last year, and I think either 17-1 or undefeated at home the year that we made the tournament. And I think that's going to be huge to watch how we do in road games.
That's going to be the difference from all years past to this year, if we can play well on the road.
Because we just have not. We won like that one game at Michigan State, but that's why we suck at those tournaments, because we can't win on the road, or just not at home. So that, I mean, obviously we're good fans, but
I guess that's
can't do that much more.
That's the storyline of this season, I feel like.
Yeah, so especially early on, be watching for those road games and how we shoot and stuff. It's probably because Northwestern has Under Armour balls, which are the worst. But wait till conference season. We will be.
And then
going
also
off.
Wisconsin is now Under Armour too.
Oh yeah,
they started from Adidas.
We just lost some games there.
Unfair. I don't get, why can't they just have a standard? I don't understand it.
We'll have not a debate, a total agreement about how stupid balls and college basketball are later. But yeah, I think I see so much, just every single guy out there has the potential to shoot, and that'll be that'll probably be a similar thing with road and home. Just like if all those guys are knocking down 3-pointers, we're the Golden State Warriors and nobody can guard us, and we'll just be playing 5 out.